Do it.
And if I could just get a quick sound from you.
Hello.
Oh,
What's
gorgeous.
happening?
Absolutely gorgeous. I'm just gonna
Is
adjust my mic here.
are we gonna get a tune in and someone let us know if I'm too loud or too quiet?
If anyone chooses to watch, it'll be appreciated. But yeah. So as the title states, as we all know, unfortunately, Canada's on fire.
Canada is on fire.
Literally, from coast to coast. I think I
Coast
read.
to coast.
I think I read or I heard that this is record breaking in Quebec to have
Think it-
these numbers of fires.
I don't ever remember hearing about fires this bad. I mean, I'm 42, gonna be 42 years old in a couple days, but I mean, forest fires in Quebec, with the exception of like accidents and campers and like forest fires don't spontaneously just start in Quebec. I mean, we'd have to look at really look at that data for it to be like, what was the cause of these fires? And global warming is not an answer. Global warming caused them. Okay, that's great. Like global warming, it wasn't like the planet was like, oh man, what a hot day. Let me just like fart out a fire. Like this is where like in the news and what everyone's talking about, it's like nobody's talking about how these fires started. And when anytime it does go to that, it says global warming.
Hmm.
I don't understand. Like, am I the only person on this planet right now, or the only person in Canada that's like, well, how does global warming start fires? That would mean that the whole world should be on fire because we're nowhere near our hottest day in summer. Summer hasn't even started yet. Quebec itself is humid, and yeah, okay, sure, it can get dry. We can get dry spells, but this isn't California where they have droughts and droughts and droughts, and then like,
And
somebody sneezes and fires start. That makes sense,
yeah,
you know.
but
Um,
the thing is that like I did some. Obviously, when this all started, I did my own set of research and I was looking up the history of like forest fires and wildlife fires and that kind of stuff. Sorry, wildfires, and just to get an understanding of is it possible that these things can just start? Can they just combust, or is there always a human element to it? Um, and the consensus is that, from what I can understand, is that it is possible for a fire to start on its own if the sun hits a patch of dry grass long enough. It can ignite it. Um, and it's plausible. It could happen, basically. It is, however, stated that about in the video that I watched, I couldn't remember. It was saying something like, for instance, 90% of wildfires are started by people, on average. You know, and I was like, okay, but then the video kind of contradicted itself and said like how the majority of fires are natural, and I got a little confused by that statement. It's like you're saying the majority of fires are natural, but you're saying 90% are caused by people. I don't know. I don't know if they meant like the majority of fires are in the wild or forest fires and not in the city. I don't know, but whatever.
they're natural fires, meaning that they were not done on purpose. They were accidents, so people caused them because they didn't put out a campfire properly. So the fire started naturally with wind, and an amber goes and it hits a dry patch, and it like, accidentally natural.
Yeah,
Or I mean, maybe. I mean, like obviously, I mean, a fire is an element, so
yeah.
unless you're spraying, you know, all kinds of stuff, and
Axe, axe
well,
aerosol.
well, that's it. Like bug spray, and right next to your fire, and you throw the bug spray out, and it blows up. As you're walking away from your campsite. So that's what kind of was bothering me. It was just like, okay, this really sucks. Not to mention for like the wildlife and all that. And the fact that it happened across Canada, like no one's raising an eyebrow. I mean, there are a lot of people. I'm saying no one is, but I'm talking about like the news and the media again silent, and it's like no one's thinking, okay, Alberta, maybe a couple
Uh,
in BC. BC is against the ocean. I mean, they're pretty. I don't get it. Like, you go just a little bit north in BC, and you're hitting snow and mountains. So I don't get how BC is also on fire. I don't get like Nova Scotia. It's pretty cold up there. I mean, how hot did it get
no,
this year, Nova Scotia? For
Nova Scotia is a bit surprising how that went down. When I heard Nova Scotia's on fire, I'm like, no fucking way. I can't.
There's
Really?
hardly any trees in Nova Scotia. What are you talking about? It's
It's like
all
this.
it's the tundra up there,
I
you
was
know?
I, I was surprised when I heard that, but to be fair, I don't think it's fair to say that the media aren't talking about it because they're talking about it plenty, just not they're not asking questions that other people are asking, right? Which is
No,
really
they're just reporting on it, but that's what I mean. It's like it's what is not to cut you off, but that it's that we find suspects. I mean, like, okay, I get it. The fires are raging, and it's like, you got to wait till the fire goes out, and then the inspection team can go in. What caused it? Whatever. Fine. Um,
yeah.
I have a friend up here, and I want to say thank you because you were the only person out of all my friends and family. And not that I was expecting anything because no one really knows anything. Like I called my parents and I checked on them and I said, "How is,
Hmm.
how are you guys?" And in Laval, like I was so curious that one day that I noticed it was really bad. But I want to thank you because you're the only one who actually called me to say, "Hey, I saw that where you live is like really bad. Are you guys okay?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, we're good. Like, thanks, like,
Oh yeah, of
thanks for
course, man.
thanks for checking in." But I don't think, because I remember calling my dad that same day, and when I saw that it was bad, driving into work, driving into the city, and the smog and all that, and I never saw
Hmm.
it that bad before. Um, and I just said, "Well, let me call my parents. Let me see how they're doing. Like, if it's this bad here, I guess Montreal didn't have it as bad." And my dad was like, "What are you talking about? Like, it's nothing happening here." So either he just didn't notice, or
Hmm.
he just thought it was like, "Oh yeah, it's a bit of smoggy." Like, I don't think Montreal got hit as bad.
No, nowhere near as bad as you guys did. Like for
Well, that's
sure.
it. So I find that kind of funny, um, because we're going to talk about New York in a bit.
Yeah.
But like everybody here in the town Facebook page, everyone's taking pictures of the sun. Look how beautiful the sun is. It's completely red, and it's like, yeah, unfortunately, that's because fires are burning, and you're looking at the sun through smog and whatever else is up there,
Yeah.
whatever else was happened to be burning at the time. So it's like, are you that null?
Fuck.
Like,
I remember on the 2nd of June, the day that the fire started. I think I was me and my wife both work from home, and I was yelling at her. I was like, "Yeah, why is outside so yellow? It looks like everything has like a golden hue on it. And I don't understand." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "It looks fine outside." A little bit later, she tells me, "You know what? It is kind of yellow outside. We don't get it." And it was shockingly bright. I was like, "This is weird. I don't understand what's going on." And surely enough, within a couple of hours, we figured it out. We saw the news. We saw what was happening. And like we were saying about the media, they're talking about it. They're reporting on it. And obviously, you're hearing the climate debates and that kind of stuff. But
but that's where we're at. Fire. Oh, let's talk about climate change. No, let's talk about saving people. Let's talk about how did this happen. Let's prevent it. A buddy of mine made a really good point. He's like, what about, like, there's agencies that we have that are for fire prevention, that fire analytics to for forest analytics to be like, are we doing enough in the forest to be preventing this? We have massive forests. We have teams of and government sections allocated to forest preservation. Like, did we not do enough cleanup? Did we not, like, did we just let this go? Like, there's people out there planting trees all the time
yeah.
to make sure that we have a forest and people are taking care of the environment. So it's like you're talking about global warming. Well, why aren't these people on the front seat talking about, like, well, this happened because you know
Well,
we didn't have
it's
enough
funny because the
people.
people who are like screaming global warming and climate change and panic and all this stuff, they always say, "Yo, we need to cut down the emissions. We need to tax people more. We need to stop this from happening." And you know what? If that's what you think, whatever. Like I'm not a scientist. I can't tell you if that's the right answer or not. What I do know is that from what you're telling me is that we've done some shit that's fucking irreversible. So why are you still trying to stop it? Why aren't we finding ways to counteract what we've caused that's according to you permanent? You know? Like you said, like why aren't we finding out ways to stop this from happening in forests? Why aren't we finding out ways to to harness different energies while still using fossil fuel? Like if the damage is already done and it's not going to get that much worse and we've already passed the pinnacle, like you know what I mean? It's just like why aren't you looking into alternatives and not just no, we need to shut down fossil fuel and we need to tax people. That's the only solution that I'm hearing from them. And it's just it's strange because it's like you just said, if well, the first thing that popped into my mind is like for the climate alarmists out there, like you, and which is governmental also, Like you knew this weather was coming. All good.
Right.
Like you knew this weather was coming. You knew there was going to be some heat waves and that kind of stuff. You know we have forests. You're screaming climate change. How it's causing wildfires. Why the fuck didn't anyone do anything to prevent this? Why
But
didn't I
they
hear
didn't
that there
prevent
was?
it because they didn't prevent it because the truth is that they caused it. Because it doesn't make sense, and this goes all back to the front, right? Like I'm kind of like, I don't want to be CGAD here, and we're gonna like discuss have these options and not and just ignore the basic truth that is, these fires were started, and I have no doubt in my mind, and there's plenty of video footage showing that all fires started at the same time. So
Mhm.
unless there was a, um, you know, I don't know. Was it like intentionally man-made on the ground? That was pretty well organized, or did they
Mhm.
use lasers from satellites? And I know you're gonna think I sound crazy, but these fires, if you look at the videos,
Mhm.
and it's all on there on these satellite imageries of when the fire started, they all like that at the
Yeah.
same time. That's kind of, I can understand a couple here, a couple there. Okay, maybe there was like a wave, there's some radiation from the sun, whatever, some gamma waves, whatever, and then it just kind of hit
Yeah.
a freak accident, our ozone layer is thinning out, so this
If
is why it
yeah,
happened.
if you had
Like
like two,
you did a good
three.
job of lying to us about 9/11. You could have done it. You could be doing a better job. Like they really think we're dumb at this point, you know? And it's like half of us are, and we're just like, okay, whatever, no big
Mhm.
deal. Like fires, it's not affecting me, so I'm gonna move on. But the rest of us up here, who actually felt it and could smell the fires, there's a township next to me that's untouched, but the township next to that, there's a fire blazing there. So that to me was a little too close to home, and
Yeah.
that kind of stressed me out a bit, and I got a bit of
You had a
like I
concern,
guess
a serious concern.
a concern, panic attack, and then like a serious depression to be like, wow, they're really doing everything they can. Like they're really going out kicking and screaming. We've talked about this, and there's no like it's definitely a political agenda. They're trying to push something, and they want to push the climate change because they want to like if this was just a statement to be like, oh, okay, we'll do this and now and just to get the votes, like I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them if they started these fires saying, look, climate change, forest fires, we have to stop this. Everybody, give up your currency and
Someone,
go. You know,
I read somewhere that how they're saying that this is going to be the introduction into the 15-minute cities. This will be the case they're
it's
presenting.
funny. It's funny you said that because that's what tripped me out, and I don't think so for a few reasons. I haven't seen these structures built yet.
Hmm.
So it was a bit of a preemptive strike, right? They're trying to say for these 15-minute cities to actually happen, people like us who live up north,
Hmm.
it's going to be hard for them to bring us back into the cities unless they start building that stuff here. Unless they're building it and we don't know. And an idea was
But
for
the
them
the
to.
15-minute cities doesn't require an infrastructure. It just requires checkpoints and IDs. That's it. There's no they're not going to be building infrastructure. It's just going to be a roadblock. It's just going to be a checkpoint. And once you go outside your checkpoint, and let's say you scan your ID or they scan your license plate and they say, okay, you're outside your zone. Your timer's on. You're allowed to go outside of your zone, like I don't know, 10 hours a week.
I didn't even think about it like that. See, the people I've been seeing screaming about this and freaking out is that they're saying they're trying to get the smaller, the smaller northern cities
Hmm.
push down closer, get people to move out. But I don't know how many people have actually been moved out of their homes. I know a lot
Because
of
of
hunting
this
spaces,
because of this
yeah,
fire.
because of these fires. I don't know how like a couple thousand people isn't enough that's why these fires might have been specific. That's why I think they're
Unless it becomes the narrative where every summer they're telling people, yeah, hey, by the way, it's fire season. You sure you want to buy a house here? Oh, it's gonna cost you more in insurance if you want to live out here. No, it's fire season. Shit like that. So
that would make more sense. That's the long run, right? That's the long term goal for them. Because I was gonna be like, because that's what actually stressed me out that day was that the fact that they were that close to that narrative, they were willing. This isn't just again. I keep going back to this. This just isn't two towers in New York. This is everyone's homes. Like they
yeah.
they literally deliberately, and this is how much power they have. They deliberately set fire across Canada to start this agenda and this narrative like you got to come Don't go too far out. Come closer so we can control you with these 15-minute cities. And there was an article in the CBC that said, and I forgot to send it to you. Um, I don't know if you want to look it up. It said that the there's the new economy, about the global reset again. They're pushing this agenda again, this global reset that was supposed to be conspiracy, but it's not because the CBC brought it up and said the global reset is the new is capitalism 2.0 because everyone, all the rich people who, and I don't mean like people who make good salaries. I'm talking about like the uber rich already milked as much as they could out of this capitalistic system.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more money to be made. They know that because they've squeezed us to our breaking point. They know it's going to break. The insurance rates have not gone down. They're still going to go up. Um, Regardless of what the banks say, oh, it can't go on, it can't go on. No, well, there was a teeter-totter and we ended up going up.
Yeah.
So they're keeping on the squeeze. They know it's going to collapse. They're pushing for the collapse. They're burning resources. They're poisoning our food. We're having lack of food. Chicken flu all of a sudden in the States. All this stuff. I don't want to like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
branch out too much, but all this is happening. It's rolling. It's rolling. The machine is working on their side. And I think that maybe they have too much on their plate, but clearly they have enough resources to do what they have to do. And we're going to be all gone on this digital currency soon. And you're going to see in quarter of 2024, it's going to be really bad. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs, and that's going to be the break. So if you still have debt, you're going to have to adopt this digital system. And this is what they're pushing with this new world order. And they're like, it's fine. You won't own anything. We're just going to get rid of it. It's going to be so bad, but the government's going to step in and say, don't worry. This is what we're going to do. We're going to own everything. You'll own nothing, but you'll have no debt. We're going to wipe everything. And then here you go. Here's your 50-minute cities.
And like to be fair, that's what
No.
they're campaigning on right now. Like for instance, a lot of students out there, a lot of young Gen Zs and whatnot. What is the this might not be an issue here in Canada, but like in the States, for instance, which and to be honest, the reason why the States come up so much is because they fucking influence North America. They Western culture so much. Like there's a reason why a lot of the shit trickles over here in Canada of the crap that goes on in the States. And one of the main things is like all the students like, oh, cancel my debt, cancel my debt. I want to get rid of it. I'll sign whatever you want to sign. Just cancel my debt, and that's the gateway for it, right? That's where it's all going to start. So
That's the thing, and that's what they're building on is all these kids. There is no future for the younger generation. Just buying a house. My wife and I bought this house like literally in the nick of time,
yeah,
and well, nick of time. I mean, like again, I believe everything happens for a reason. This is why we're here on this planet, uh, and the universe will guide us. So this is the only thing that kind of kept me grounded because I haven't been this moved, this so panicked before.
hmm
The last time I was this panicked was when I had my eyes finally open and realized like what is going on. Like the whole, you know, like just seeing what the world is for what it is and what's going on. And it's not just about um, government making more money and not caring and stepping on the little guy.
it's
That's
not it's
fine,
not
but
what it's about.
it's more than that. It's like it's enough of that already because clearly they have a formula and people aren't doing anything about it. There are a lot of people that are waking up and making videos and posting stuff and it's difficult because it's like who do you believe? Who do people
hmm
but they are showing the articles and these articles are there and people are just like okay, reading it, whatever. So hopefully on our end, a lot of these, you want to call them boomers or whatever, are going to retire and they're not going to have much of a say. And then the rest of us are going to have to fight the Gen Zs, like you're saying. Those of us who are awake, those of us who do see it, those
Yeah,
of us who didn't live downtown and think that, like, um, whatever.
but what's
I
fucked
don't
up
even
is
know.
what's fucked up is that the
This woke freaking culture.
well before we continue right now on screen, I have it up right now on Zoom Earth. Everyone go check it out. If you go back to the 2nd of June and you start at around 8 a.m., you can hit a play button and you could see the when the plumes of smoke start popping up all across Quebec, and it's kind of crazy to see because it's pretty much within the space of an hour to an hour and a half. It's just it's ridiculous how many of it pops up. You know, I'm gonna zoom out a bit because I don't even, I didn't even capture it all, and I just find that insane to see that much pop up, and of course this is the part that I find disappointing, is that this is the part that the media won't cover. This is the part that the media won't ask a question about. Because even if there is an explanation for this, which there could be, where someone could say, hey, this is why this happened, this is what transpired, um, then let me hear it, you know? Let, let, let me hear that reason, ask that question. And then that I won't have to wonder. Because this approach of, oh, we're not even going to entertain the idea of that question, just raises more questions. And to me, this is not as crazy as, like, you know, uh, flat Earth and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is just all the plumes of smoke popping up all at once. It's so strange.
It's
It's
right there. It's not
unprecedented.
strange. It's just like, oh, hey, so are the police looking into this? Are the RCMP who takes care of this? We clearly have footage. It's here. It's for everybody to see.
Mm-hmm.
You would think to be like, well, hold on a minute. Like, no, we gotta, let the people know. Do you not want to raise a panic? Is this a terrorist attack?
Uh-huh.
Maybe they're hiding something. Maybe that's what it is. Let's not scare the population. So to
Mm-hmm.
be like, but somebody should have mentioned it somewhere in a news conference to be like, hey, how's it going? How are you dealing with this? You know, um, it's funny. I don't want to acquaintances of ours, um, where we go bring our dog to train. Um,
Yeah.
they the couple, there's one of them who's actually a helicopter pilot. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to say anybody's names because I don't know. I don't want to put anybody like I don't know if I
Absolutely.
have.
Absolutely.
Not that it matters if I say I have an acquaintance who happens to be a helicopter pilot. It's not like a secret. So I asked my buddy. I'm like, hey, where's your wife? And he's like, well, she's out. She's gone for 2 weeks. She's fighting the fires. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing and
Wow.
scary at the same time. And she's a
Yeah.
helicopter pilot. I thought she was just transport. We live up here. There's the Bell.
Yeah.
There's Bombardier, and not Bombardier. There's the other company. But Bell is a big helicopter company here, so I figured, okay, whatever, transport this and that up north, big deal. And and he was telling me, and it was funny because he seemed like excited, like not excited about it, but he didn't seem stressed about it. But like he was, so he's like, yeah, no, it's crazy. He goes, we see the smog here, but up there you don't see anything. So she apparently is just flying over these fires, and if you look down, all you see is basically like the gates of hell, and
Jesus.
dropping water and whatnot. And I'm like,
Oh my
so
god.
she's flying blind. If something goes wrong with the helicopter, she goes down and she has to land for whatever reason, she's dead because
Mm.
she's going in the fire. That's how big the fire is. It's not like, okay, let me just pull over to the side and pull down. So they have to coordinate because they can't see each other, so they're 100% on radar from how I'm understanding it. And she's back in 2 weeks. And here we are just talking, and I'm like, if my wife was flying a helicopter for 2 weeks over fires, dropping water, like I'd be in my house, I wouldn't be going to work. I'd be calling vacation, being like, I'm not like I can't concentrate on anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I guess at that point, I mean, when you like, it's not new. It's not like, hey, honey, I've decided to become a helicopter pilot today. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I got to go fight fires. You're like, what? I guess
Yeah.
this is like, this is
If
how.
that's what I was gonna say. If he's married to her, he probably signed up for this. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. Like, but
So
how many times has she fought fires? Like, is she trained for that?
yeah.
Like, is there like a special? Is there like it's just like, okay. So this is what's happening around this.
There's
Like, this is
a
why
there's
it
a
was
ten
so real
minute
for me.
a ten
Like,
minute
it's
YouTube
not just.
crash course.
Well, that's it. It's like it's a weekend course online, and you get an extra letter next to your license, and you can drop buckets of water however you please. So clearly, she
Where's
knows
your
what she's doing.
diploma? Hang on, it's in my email. Um,
Yeah,
so I just want to catch up with chat right here. Ananas Bananas is mentioning that to me, she says that to her, it makes sense that they are all in the same region because they all got the same climate conditions. And she also says if it was started by the government, it would not have been that concentrated, in her opinion. It wouldn't be in one area. Um, so her and I talked about this, and I explained my position to her. I told her it like I said, I'm not 100% convinced it's the government. I'm not 100% convinced it's natural. I'm asking questions, you know? And it just pisses me off that when you ask questions that are from a certain perspective, you're just automatically branded as a crackpot or whatever. And I told her, like, how, trust me, if, let's say this is the government, then they know exactly what they want to accomplish here. If the goal is to push an agenda, then you want to maximize the impact that it would have on people, right? Like to me, in my opinion, spreading out the fires too much across the area may not have created a plume that was so aggressive that we'd be concerned. I think because the fires are so concentrated, which made it so large, is the reason why this plume is so large. I'm not an expert. That's just my
But it's pretty wide across the province if you look at the video. It's not
Yeah,
just,
it's not just
you know
in
what I
one
mean?
area.
And it happens to be like I haven't seen any of them actually crossing any borders, which I find kind of like what's the probability of that?
Like it stays in
And
Quebec. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like now I'm just like je cherche loin, as they say. I'm looking far. I'm not trying to like dig where there's not a conspiracy. I'm just saying when I saw that video of
Hmm.
fires going up, like it was just one area and then it was like a nice line and it just all happened at the same time. That's what concerns me. It's the same time. Government, not government. I just say the word government because it's like, the people who are talking about this and not talking about this.
Yeah.
There's that, there's Polyev giving heck to, and I think I think he's a psyop as well. I
Yeah,
think
I think he's a shill
he's full of
also.
shit like everyone else.
Yeah.
He's just showing the thing like, hey, look what I'm doing. I'm fighting Justin Trudeau, and I want to punch Justin Trudeau in the face. It's just like it really goes against all my trying to keep Zen here. And I'm just like, how
Yeah.
can this guy even be in power? Like, there's a certain point where it's like, you're really pushing my buttons here, buddy. Just asking a question of like, okay, what are we going to do about this interest rate, about the economy? Like, we've got to get the economy back on track. And he's screaming bloody murder. Like, oh, clearly you don't understand that there's forest fires happening and like Canadians are losing their homes. It's like, no, Canadians are losing their homes because they can't afford their mortgages. Like, can we talk about that in Parliament? Well, no, you're clearly not understanding what I'm trying to say. And it's like, at one point, it's just a farce. It's like, at
Yeah.
what point do you win the debate back and forth? You're not going to win a debate against Justin Trudeau when all when he gets to repeat and regurgitate garbage, and all you have to do is fight, 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 fight. At that point, just agree with him and move on. Say, okay, yeah, no, you're right. It's
Yeah.
like okay, so what are we going to do about climate change? Can we lower taxes so people can like live a little bit so they can spend money
Hmm.
on proper things? How about that? Like give it a different approach. You
Yeah.
can't.
One
Eh,
thing that sucks about this whole fire thing is that it doesn't help that there's a lot of misinformation out there, like on both sides. Like for instance, I saw people on TikTok posting things like, for instance, a helicopter that's like shooting fire into the forest and that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And I just did a little bit of research and I found out that's
you have
normal.
to do that.
That's
You have to
normal.
do that. Yeah.
It's controlled fires and they're called fire helis or something like that. They do it. They use it for control burns all the time. So that's not something new. But this person just posted a video of a helicopter shooting fire, not saying from when this video was taken, where is it shooting fire.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. They're like, look, and they're trying to tell us that it's not.
You
You know
know,
what? If that video gets people looking and researching and not just saying like, that's the same cue of being like, whoa, why would the government burn their own fires? It doesn't make sense. It's like that's
yeah,
just as dumb as somebody saying that video. Look at this video, like there's a helicopter. It's like, where did you get this video from? I'm sure
yeah.
there was a title. Like, you know, that's fine.
Absolutely.
That's so
If it gets people
the
looking, then great. It's then I'm happy about it. But it's like, but then again, on the other side, I just try to do the best that I can to try and make my own decisions and not just let people tell me what to think or what to do. So I went and I did a little bit of research. I'm like, okay, what was the weather on like the couple of days before June 2nd? Like, what was the weather around there in that area? And like on June 1st, for instance, my understanding, and I could be wrong here, but my understanding, it genuinely rained that night all around there.
Okay, all around there. See, that's good to know because I was thinking the same thing, and I'm like, oh, I'd be curious to see like in that area, and it's be easy to go to Google search and just the shittiest search possible
Yeah,
is Google search, and to look that up to be like, what was the weather like? Because we had a bit of a heat wave ourselves here, so it was kind of funny because I'm like, oh, summer really kicked in hard, like okay, fine. And I'm like, oh, I guess they're gonna blame this on global warming. We had a good like 3 days of 30-degree weather, 28, 29, 30-degree weather, and it was like, okay, cool. And even our city had put a ban on fires because it was so hot. That makes sense. We're in the forest. It's 3 days of 30 degrees.
yeah,
Don't start a fire in your back. And not no, it wasn't a fire ban. It was if you're gonna have a fire, you have to put the cover on it, which is already part of the bylaw anyway. Which my neighbors in the back don't do. They have these huge bonfires anyway, and it's like whatever.
just a quick shout out. We have Dano who's saying hello to everybody and wishing everyone up north well.
Hey, Daniel, thanks.
Yeah, so you're talking about the fire shield.
Yeah, and that's it. So I was like, okay, well, and then these forest fires start, and I'm like, was it that hot? Like it takes 3 days of 30-degree weather to start forest fires? I don't think so. There's no open fields. I can understand Alberta, Saskatchewan,
Yeah,
a heat wave of a week, and then like now you're asking for trouble.
yeah.
But the dense and cool forests of Quebec up north, like yeah, it gets hot, but It's not time yet. It's not July. It's
Like
not
like
like
how often does the sunlight actually get to hit the floor in those forests? You know what I mean?
that's it. It's
And
not the top of
well,
the trees that caught fire. It's the
yeah, but
it's the,
I don't know. I don't know where the fire started. So I'm just asking questions, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
just curious to understand these things. I don't want to just be told, "Oh, it's climate change." I'm kind of tired of hearing that. Like it's climate change is everything now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm getting a little sick of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I think you guys are getting a little out of hand with this now.
it's such a blanketed statement now.
It
It's like,
is.
oh, you clearly don't understand climate change.
Hmm.
No, I don't. Explain it to me. The global warming. But guess what? If you do a little bit of research on anything, you'll note that all the planets in our solar system, if you believe we have a solar system and we're not just the only Earth and this is not a big simulation, all the planets have actually warmed up.
Yeah.
I find that
So
very interesting.
we
I
have
find that
a
very interesting.
Slendergart in the chat who's saying how he understood that it started from lightning, and like I was saying, I think that is the consensus right now. Everyone is saying it started from lightning, and like I said, it was raining the night before. It just doesn't make sense to me how the very next day all these fires pop up all at once. Ananas Bananas is saying that we found out that the evergreens or the conifers, like the sapins and all
Yeah,
that stuff,
yeah.
they have oils in them that are very combustible, and that's true. The oils in those trees are very combustible, but I don't think they start fires. I just think they burn well to keep the fire burning. I don't think you can actually just
I'm not trying to like disagree that forests don't catch fire. It's
yeah
clearly a thing. Like it's obviously there's prevention and Smokey the Bear and all that stuff, right?
yeah.
This this is not like it's not like oh it's a fire, it's a conspiracy, it didn't really happen. No, no,
No,
it's
it's fucking
happening.
happening. Yeah.
Half of it's in my lungs from that one day of driving into work. You know, I get it. It's just it's how serendipitous can it be that it's all across Canada all at the same time? And we're not the only country that's on fire too. There's a lot of other countries that don't make sense and they're on fire as well.
Yeah.
We're just not talking about those. And it's like, well, there's something else that's going on here, and we just have to like, and again, those 5 minute cities. It's funny that you brought it up because that's what triggered me. That's what got me off. Like, I'm like, really, and it just put me in a bit of a depression to be like, they're gonna go that far to get us into these cities, and then I kind of snapped out of it because I was like, well, there's nothing constructed. They're doing this half-fast. No one's going to be rushing to cities that aren't built yet,
Yeah.
from my understanding. I get there's going to be zones, but the military isn't here yet. There's no, this is what we have to do. It's like it was preemptive. It was like they're literally throwing everything they can at us because they don't know. They're just throwing whatever they can on the wall and seeing what sticks. Because at this point, they have to get ready. They have to do their agenda. This cabal, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. They're trying to destroy everything we have, and they're slowly pushing us towards their goal, their end, this global reset, their way of control. Because we're too many.
Hmm.
We're too many for them. COVID didn't work, so now they're injecting our food and
Yeah.
they're injecting our and our children.
Hey, I have to say, like some fucking sensors went off, man, when I was getting notifications on my phone and on weather apps saying, "Guys, weather's bad. Stay in your houses. Close the doors. Lock the windows." It actually said that. I was like, "Whoa, this sounds familiar."
Yeah. Well, that's it.
But to be fair, there's legit smog out there. You can fucking see it, you know?
No, exactly. My buddy sent me the same thing and about New York and how they're urging people to stay inside and wear a mask. I'm like, that's smart. That would make sense. I'm like, where are
Yeah,
those N5, N1, N5s, whatever they're called, those masks
N95s. Yeah,
and yeah, M95s, and which my wife, who's a nurse, keeps telling me, she goes, you can't just buy one of those. You have to have it fitted to your face or it doesn't work.
yeah.
So you can buy as many as you want. If you don't get the right fit, you're like, you might as well try one of those paper masks that everyone was buying that was literally doing nothing except keeping yourself sick. But even that, at least, is good enough for dust.
Yeah,
And I'm like, this is where you should be wearing it outside. And I'm like, I think I should be wearing it. But like, I wasn't going out for long periods of walks. It was like, stay in,
yeah.
to try to avoid the air conditioning if you can. Don't, try to push no air inside. And we had an air filter, luckily, and just keep that on all day. And then um, people with asthma, like people with allergies, like yourself, had to be careful.
Yeah.
We got lucky that it only lasted a couple days,
It's not
and
over.
and
It's not
yeah,
over. And for what I saw, apparently after on Saturday or after Saturday, apparently it's gonna pick up again, according to them. How like the winds are gonna shift and we're gonna be eating shit again.
I'm just surprised at how how New York got it, like how the color changed for New York. Like it looks like the literal Armageddon unless everyone's using a filter. And I'm like, how did it like? And I called a buddy of mine who was in Hemingford,
Mhm.
which borders Quebec, USA. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm just, I saw what New York looked like. How are you? And he's like, oh, we had that day. And the thing is, he works in a lumber mill. Like his land, that's what he does. He cuts
Okay.
lumber. So, so he's like, oh, well, whatever. It was kind of shitty that one day. And I'm like, well, what about the smell? He's like, no, I didn't really smell too much. He's also a smoker, so I don't know if he could actually smell
Okay.
much. But
So,
you think the farmers would have a freak out or whatnot? But he's like, no. He goes,
uh
it was all right. It was that one day. It was a little hazy, but like it's passed over. So did we get lucky with the wind? Did the wind really pick it up that much to go over Hemingford, to go over, and go straight into New York,
I
in New
buy
York
it.
City?
I buy it. I buy it because, and this is a very extreme example, but when Chernobyl happened way back when,
Hmm.
the fucking wind took the radiation plumes and clouds all the way to the west, like it hit here. They were detecting radiation from Chernobyl here in North America. So I buy
Fair
it.
enough.
So I can believe that the smoke from this fire, if the fire is at large, can reach the states easily. I believe that. You know.
Then there's the going back to Anna Bananas and whoever saying that like, oh, whatever, it can't be government because of whatnot. That's a really big fire to a really short period of time. Like our forests. I mean, yeah, forest fire is combustible, but there's got to be some sort of accelerant in that. There's no way that it would take that short of period of time to get that bad, that fast in a small amount of time to get that much plume to get to New York.
I can't say. I can't say
Like I've
if
been
it could
around
pick
enough
up.
campfires to know, different types of fires and different
Hmm.
ways of putting wood. And I'm no expert, but it's like if sometimes if you get wet wood, you
Hmm.
get a lot of smoke,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
makes sense. We had a lot of wet wood,
Yeah.
right? So there you go. But like wet wood also just makes a lot of smoke and fizzles out. But like at that heat, that wood is burning like that smoke is being re-incinerated. I don't know. A
Hmm.
lot of live leaves. I guess that's where the ash is coming from. All the live leaves that are going.
For sure. And earlier
I'm
you
not. I'm not
mentioned
a professional. I'm not
farmers,
pretending to be. I'm just saying this. Just everything in one shot. That should be raising eyebrows. It doesn't. That doesn't happen. This is
no,
a very the fires of 2023. Our grandkids will talk about it. Maybe.
but you see this thing whole like how fast it's spread and how intense it is. I can buy that. I can buy that because to me, it's not. Let's say it was orchestrated by whoever. It's to me, it doesn't go beyond my imagination that these people anticipated that it would do this. You know what I mean? To make it this bad. So that doesn't go past me. The thing that I want to get an answer for is how the fuck do all of them start at the same time? That's my concern. I was like, that's the biggest question for me that I want answered. And don't tell me because the sun passed over and that was it. It's like it makes no sense.
Oh, it's called common sense. It's called common sense.
Like I
I
would
know
I would
people are
just
gonna
like an
be.
explanation for that. And if someone could break it down, I would love that. And then it took us to the obviously it's politicized, right? The liberals want to push the budget and they want to fight climate change and they're using this. It's funny because the bill had to pass yesterday for the budget of Canada, and that's why the conservatives were filibustering. They were like having their meetings and like just like wasting time trying to stop this bill from going through because it's increasing spendings. And Anna's Banana says she thinks it's a lot of factors, not one thing. I agree. I think it's a lot of factors, but it's just there's one factor that nobody wants to talk about, and it's why they all start at the same time. And when
Mhm.
nobody wants to talk about something, that's the subject I want to know the most about. Um, so, like I said, the situation is politicized, and it's funny because right when they're supposed to pass this bill to increase the spendings of Canada at an all time high inflation rate, meaning they want to increase it some more because of their climate activities, this happens. You know, the fire starts like guys, fires out, pass the bill, climate change, pass the bill. You know what I mean? It's just it could be a coincidence, obviously, but I
Trudeau's gonna pass any bill he wants. He's done it before. And Poilievre's gonna run around with a chicken without a head.
well,
And
it's not a bill. It's the budget. It's the country's fucking budget. And
but like the stuff before, like all the stuff when he called that emergency meeting, he's like, they're bypassing us, they're doing this bill, and they're not even letting us in on the thing, and blah 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 blah.
yeah,
And I'm like, wow, you're really good on Twitter and socials, man. Like Polyev, you're good. Like,
Mm.
you've he's got to build it up because Trudeau knows that like to keep the people happy or to fake them out, that Trudeau eventually will have to leave, and then Poilievre's going to come in and do all the same bullshit anyways.
Oh, most likely
And
he will.
until for me, it's seeing is believing at that point. But he's no Vladimir Putin.
No, he's
Let
not
me tell
gonna.
you that.
Yeah, and I'm actually I was gonna play the video, but I don't think I will because it's quite long. It's 4 minutes, and I don't want to skip through it right now. But in the video, you just hear Polyev explaining to people how inflation is way too high. Your budget is suggesting that we increase spending, which would increase inflation. And it's like, can we please lower this down so people can afford to make their payments on their home? Because I think he said something like how people are expecting to pay what was it, 40% more on their mortgages or something, or 20% more if this were to pass, which is ridiculous. Like that's make or break time for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And his Trudeau's response to that was, yeah, but climate change.
Yeah, that was his whole thing, and Polyev is making a good point, and this is what I was saying. This whole back and forth, it's just a show, and it's just like
Mhm.
I'm tired of watching it. It's just
Well, the more I watch it, the more it seems staged. It's like watching an episode of The Bachelorette. It's like, okay, this is all planned. You know?
well, that's it. It's like the drama of like, oh, good, and then like, even the speaker at one point he says, okay, it's enough now. Like both of you,
Yeah.
Polyev, you have to go, and
Hmm.
you need to start over because I'm getting heckles from both sides, and I can't have this in my courtroom, whatever, blah blah blah. And it's like, wow, really? That's what your concern is that people are talking on both sides? People are talking because they know it's a joke.
Yep.
They know it's a freaking joke,
And
this
I
government.
I made this comment the other day. I was talking with some friends, and these friends of mine are more they buy in more to what the media tells us, right?
Mhm.
And they didn't go against me or anything. They just wanted to hear my side of things, and I kind of caught them at one point. I actually was able to stop them in their tracks and make them question something. And I explained to them like how, okay, so you know how this side always says believe in the science for climate change, for this, for that, and all these things. Believe in the science for the vaccine and this and this and this and that. It's always believe in the science, believe in the science, believe in the science. And then I explained to them like how when you think of the parties or the people or the government or whatever the fuck that don't support these drag storytime events or LGBTQ or all these things that are happening to kids or what do you call it? Indoctrination of children with books that are like like you have a book in an elementary school that's telling a kid how to use Tinder and stuff like that. It makes no sense. Like which side of the party is saying that's ridiculous? And they're saying, yeah, that's the other side of the party. It's not our party. I'm like, okay. And then I asked both of them. I was like, so do you guys agree with that? So are you saying like you think what's happening to the kids is good? And they both said no because they have families. They're like, no, that's fucked up. That's crazy. I would never want that. I'm like, okay, so the side that you believe in says believe in the science, but they can't decide on what's a boy or a girl. You know what I mean? And I was like, how does that compute? Like, how am I supposed to believe that this is climate change when he says like how no anybody can be a girl, anybody can be a boy, the same person is making these statements, you know, and it's a joke. I don't understand how people could just buy into it just like without any input at all. That's just
See,
bonkers to me.
agreeing with these people are on like autopilot. It's like it's like that the movie Wall-E, which I loved. They're on that cruise, and it's like the color of the day is blue or
Yeah,
red, and everyone just presses the button, and they're all in their chairs, and
they
they
have
turn red,
their
and
VR
it's like
screens and
exactly. It's like it was such a again Hollywood projecting like this is what your life is going to be like. We're going to put it in as a joke because obviously these people and it's a situational whatever, but this is how it is.
yeah.
This is what most Americans are doing. They go home, they sit down, they watch TV. This is what you have to buy to be cool. You got to buy the watch, you got to buy the car, you got to buy this, you got to buy that. Oh, okay, whatever. Oh, we'll go work.
Wally specifically told people, like the people on that cruise ship, that social interaction is not important. You don't need to talk to people or touch people or feel anyone, and Earth is gone. There's no more
You know,
plants. Oh my
no,
god.
and but I mean, the happy ending was that they go back and they there is a second coming, right?
Hmm.
And And I think that that's what's really happening now too. I mean, all this is going to come to fruition, but it's going to really depend on, like I was saying, I was getting so frustrated,
Hmm.
and And just the point that it scared me was like, this is really happening, but it's like, okay, I had to calm down to be like, there are no checkpoints yet. I mean, you brought that up, and I didn't even think about that before
Yeah,
about the checkpoints and whatnot. And it's like, well, at least I get to stay in my house. Hopefully, I'll be able to afford it.
yeah.
And then I'm like, but there's no building set up. I haven't seen any of these 5 minute cities that people are talking about or how they want to do it, just like in China.
Mm,
So I calm myself down and I'm like, don't forget, I put myself in this situation. Um, Meaning like reincarnation and whatever. I don't want to drift too much. So it's like it took me a while to calm down from this one.
yeah.
We're still um we're
But
not we're not human beings. What's that saying that I enjoy? We're not um human beings trying to find the spiritual experience. We are the spiritual experience. We are experiencing spirituality through being a human. It's
yeah.
different. Or I forget. I messed that up. We are the
But
universe experiencing itself.
but to be
That's
fair, like this whole incident, this whole thing that just happened here,
Mhm.
you are a strong person. You're a strong believer in spirituality and that kind of stuff, right? But this shook you. It shook the core of that, or like what happened there? What made you
it
panic?
it
Was it
just
because for a second you thought it wasn't real anymore?
no. It just bothered me because I woke up and I could smell it. I could smell the fire burning.
Hmm.
I had looked at the map. It was pretty close, and it was like I have it pretty good here. My wife and I we're living
Hmm.
in simple life. Get up, go to work. We have some chickens. We have a dog,
Yeah.
whatever. And
By the way, I've tasted the eggs from those chickens and they're fucking amazing. It's weird. They don't taste like eggs you'd get from the supermarket. It's true.
well,
Sorry.
let's hope. But
Go ahead.
I'm trying to get Jen to. I want to buy another. I didn't want anything to do with the chickens, and now it's like I want to buy another pen and get another four more. Like just to have something.
Yeah.
But
So I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
no, it's okay. No, I was just I don't know. Maybe I was just having a low moment and being a little overtired,
Yeah.
and just smelling that smoke and seeing it, knowing that like if it was a freak accident, fine.
Hmm.
Some idiot set a fire. It blazed. They couldn't get it under control for whatever reasons. Fine. Okay, that happens. It's scary. Okay, hopefully they'll take care of it.
Hmm.
But it wasn't. This is not like that. People I know are there fighting the fire in a helicopter. People I know are being affected. United States, us, I can smell it. Going into work, seeing the view, because higher in the mountains, coming down to see Montreal, you see a lot of beautiful views.
Yeah.
Seeing how smoggy it was, it's like I haven't seen this since like New York itself, and on a hot day, and it's like this is not normal. Like this is, I'm thinking, okay, well, is this like the train wreck in Ohio? What
Hmm.
chemicals did they put? What are they doing? Are they really trying to cull us out here, or is everyone going to be really sick in the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months? Happening? Anybody who breathed in those fumes? Like what was? I couldn't put my finger on it. All these things happen at one shot, all over the country, and what's the deal? Like you said, so I was really like, wow, they're really going out kicking and screaming here, and this is the world we live in. So I'm really trying to center myself as to, you know, um, stay strong into what I understand to be true. I don't know if I want to call them beliefs or anything, but like I've had enough experience in my life to understand how I think the world works, and we can have those conversations.
But when this happened, because it's like I've never seen you shaken, right?
Yeah,
From something
I
because
was
like
good until you texted me yesterday. I was
mm,
good, like I got over it, and then you texted me again, and I didn't want to talk about it. I was just like, I'm like, oh, clearly, I'm really not over this.
yeah,
Like, I told
because
my wife,
because
I'm not feeling good.
you're a person who strongly believes in your spirituality and that kind of stuff, and I think it guides you a lot for your life and the path that you choose and that kind of stuff, right?
Mhm.
And so I don't know. It was weird. It's like it's almost as if you're taking this incident as an assault directly on to your spirituality. You know what I mean?
Well, we're all humans. We're
Mm.
all, we should be living together, but there seems to be a force out there that just doesn't want to like let us go, and there's always that divide. Like we're constantly having these conversations about like what's male, what's female, and I'm like,
Hmm.
what? No, like I understand. There's people out there who are born, with appendages that's not them. Those are true um, transgender, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
hermaphrodites, whatever. Um, it happens. We see this, those were that is the real LGBT, not these people who are like, oh, I identify as this and that. It's like, well, what's going on? Like the world is so messed up. That's such another spear and getting to the children and making pedophilia kind of like mainstream. And that's happening. And people are like, oh, well, I don't whatever. It's like, no, but it
Hey,
is
hey, hey,
happening.
hey! It's minor attracted person. That face.
It's such an attack on the spiritual self, on ourselves as humans, and just understanding the basics. We should be better than this. We should be past this. We should not be having governments that the regular people are can't even. All we can do is we can vote you out if you're not doing a good job. It's not enough. It's like we should have total control over what's going on and like an equal say of everything, not just like I elect you so I don't have to deal with it. That's not
Yeah.
the right attitude. Our humanity is so far gone. But there is an awakening. I believe there's an awakening because there's a lot of these videos out there on TikTok and the social medias, and maybe people have it wrong, or maybe people don't quite have the truth, but at least they're awake enough to know that hey, there's something going on. Like these truckers, that was the best uh, peaceful protest ever. That was the right way to do it,
Yeah.
and it happened in um, God, was it Denmark or Norway?
The farmers.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what they did, and they got their government back, and it's like you're not going to hear that on the news, but like,
Because they actually formed a political party. The people that were protesting actually formed a political party and won the fucking campaign. They became leaders of their own country.
and that's amazing because that's going to resonate such positive like vibrations through this planet that like we're arguing like is it flat, is it round, what does it matter? I don't need that stress right now. I
Yeah.
don't need to be worried about if it's flat or round or this and that. It's not going to prove anything more than whatever. This is all simulation maybe. And it's like we have to start focusing on here and now so we can advance as a culture,
Hmm.
advance as a human society, as
And
human
and
beings, regardless of race and ethnicity and whatever you want to call it. Like we're all the same.
it's just funny because the things that are supposed to make it easier on us, or so to speak, bring us together, or whatever, is easily being weaponized to tear us apart. Easily.
And
Like
it's like
Joe,
people,
Joe, I should fucking hate you, you supremacist, you
I'm
ist,
white, I'm white. I get everything for free.
you're
So,
white and you got a dangling. You're wrong. But it's just strange how everything is being used to just divide people, and it's messed up. And that I really hope that people take note from the situation. What was it? You said Denmark and Norway, I think it was, or one of those areas out there for the.
I can't. I saw it the other day, and I was like, "How did this go under the radar?" You
Oh,
know?
I heard about it. I think it happened around the same time as the trucker protest, if I'm not mistaken. They were both happening in tandem, weren't they?
They were being compared,
Hmm.
and then I remember looking it up, and it was true. They actually have that party, and I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, that
I'm
party's
just
in charge now, and uh, it's just funny because I feel like if I were to speak to anyone about it out here, they'd be like, "What are you talking about? You mean the trucker protest in Ottawa? No, 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 no. The farmers protest."
like, and look what they did, and people would just give you a blank stare to be like, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" And that's the thing. It's such a good system this that we've been set up for ourselves, or we let ourselves get set up in, and it's we have no choice, man. Like I still got to get up and go to work regardless of what I think is, there's always those memes to be like, oh, Jesus, do I really need to get up and go to work today? And then there's the meme over like drugs ain't free, my son. Like you gotta go,
Fuck.
so
Um,
it's like there's that aspect of it too, and it's like that could work so much better to our advantage. It doesn't have to be so hard. And I understand how people don't understand that to be like, man, I'm busting my ass for 40 hours a week and getting 2 days rest. Like just that principle alone doesn't make any sense. And we've just adopted this narrative. It's like the monkey in the cage, that experiment they did where they took five monkeys and every time a monkey would go up a ladder to get some treats or whatever, they would get shocked and whatever, and then the monkeys would get upset and they would like keep knocking each other down and whatever, and
yeah,
then they would take a monkey out, put a new monkey in, and then the monkey would go up, same thing, and then the other monkeys would Oh, that's it. The other one monkeys would get shocked every time they went up the ladder. The other monkeys would get shocked or hurt, so then they would like get mad at that other monkey to bring them down.
Yeah,
And then they would take one out, put one in, who had no idea what was going on, comes up, and then you just replace the monkeys, and now you've got a whole set of monkeys that have never been shocked, yet they're doing the same thing. They don't know why they're bringing this monkey down. That's just know what they're told.
they just know you don't go up there.
So exactly, you don't go up
Yeah,
there because everyone else gets mad at you. And they've done these experiments on humans where they're in a waiting room and a buzzer goes on while these people are waiting, and one person doesn't know nothing, and all the people stand up and then just sit back down. And some people are like, what are going on? Like I don't know how many people actually did it. Like,
I fucking
oh,
saw this. Yeah,
these people like stand up, and next thing you know, it's a bunch of people that weren't there before, and it's like the same thing on humans, and it's like it's hilarious that these things are done, and it's like, holy cow.
now, okay, to be fair, I don't know if I saw the same thing as you, but what I saw was actually like one of those hidden camera shows or just for laughs gags, and it was that it was a bunch of people sitting in a waiting room, and a buzzer would go off, people would stand up, and the guy would look around, and be like, "What the hell's going on?" And then as time goes on, he starts standing up with them, and then when a new person comes in, our gentleman still stands up and doesn't tell the other person what's going on, and then the other person just starts standing up also. So everyone is they're just sheep, just follow.
And that's what I'm
Um,
saying. Like to a certain point, like hypnotism works, but for the weaker mind.
yeah.
There's some people who can, and some people can't be hypnotized, and it really depends.
Just
But anyways,
just want to
just
catch up with the chat here because
yeah,
Anana's posted a link from CBS News how the wildfires in Canada started and what caused them. She told me if you skip the part blaming climate change and go to the sections how did the fires start. She wanted me to read it, and while we were speaking, I took a quick gander at it, and it was saying like
yeah, go for it.
a combination of oh well yeah I'll read it out, a combination of lightning and dry air, I believe is what they said. Hang on a second. How did the fire start? Dry, hot weather also breeds more lightning. In a normal season, half of Canada wildfires are started by lightning, but those fires account for more than 85% of wildfire destruction. The other half are caused by humans. What might seem like a slight increase in average in temperatures may have major consequences. There you go again. And then they go into statistics about 1 degree Celsius increased temperature is about 12% more lightning and all these things. That could be true. I don't know. Uh, Curious though. I want to look into that. That's interesting to know. In Quebec, for example, fires were sparked by lightning, but officials in Alberta said the cause of the fires there are currently unknown. So, long story short, we don't know what started them. It's a very helpful
Okay,
article. Thank you, Nanas Bananas.
yeah.
um, I think this is a good
Again,
place to stop for now. Uh,
yeah. I mean,
so what I want to do is just to sign us off and to explain I don't uh, why I don't trust these people. I want to go ahead and play you a clip from our famous prime minister. And just so we're clear, this isn't a. I'm not trying to just bash the guy. I just think he's run his course. It's time to go. You know what I mean? The, we need to try a different approach. So this is a famous clip about him talking about gun control, which I find is hilarious.
Registering your guns is just the first step towards taking away guns from everyone. That's never going to happen because here in Canada we have a culture that has grown up with guns and that respects the need.
From today forward, it is no longer legal to buy, sell, or transfer a handgun in Canada.
Man, that fucking clip never gets old.
it's unfortunate that all my guns were lost. All my guns were lost in a boating accident.
That's really unfortunate, man. Maybe one day we can go like what do they call it? Magnet fishing. I hope for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, thanks a lot for taking this chat today. I'm glad to hear you guys are okay. Glad the chickens are okay and your
Yeah,
family's okay. We'll
I
keep in
appreciate
touch. I
that.
will see you again because, like you said, we're celebrating a name day soon.
Yeah, man.
Um,
In a couple days, and then no, it was good. I mean, it was. I'm glad we got this. This out. I wasn't sure about talking about this, but this is what's happening. This is what's happening, and And we gotta just, just an open discussion. I've got an opinion. You've got an opinion.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what's important is that our families are good, and we gotta like prepare a little and
Would,
make sure that we're ready for anything. It's hard. It's hard.
it's a cheesy thing to say, but all we can do is our best, and that's all that any of us can do. So
Well, that's it.
just make
And
sure you
hopefully
give.
people, it's you can't be done to these things. You can't just accept. If there's anything to take away from this or any of our talks is that just have an open mind with stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's. I mean, if it's not affecting you, that's one thing, but it affected me greatly, and it was being in the middle of it, and you who was actually on top of stuff to get that text was like, okay, someone's actually paying attention, like that was, and except for my cousin. My cousin too had asked,
Yeah.
but it was his wife from Atlanta. But her question was more, how is your air quality?
Ah.
And I'm like, it was bad for a day, but I'm doing fine. Like,
Yeah,
are you
like
worried about the country? Like, yeah.
like if you want, I'll plug you more information as it goes along. We'll
Well, that's
we'll
it.
keep you posted. We'll create a breaking news chat.
Yeah,
All
man.
right. It was good talking to you, brother.
You too.